Hello everybody, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening depending on where you are in this amazing world. My name is Donovan Jolly, and welcome everybody once again for another amazing video of DIY investing. Over the last week, this has been the craziest time that I have ever seen inside the cryptocurrency markets. We saw two of the biggest exchanges go head to head, and one of them was liquidated with billions of customer losses. Is this ultimately going to see another massive correction before this bear market is over, or was this the final sell-off that we needed before we could finally break out into this next bull run? I'm going to be breaking it down. This is going to be a long video, so make sure you stay all the way to the end so you don't miss out on any of this exciting information. If you're new and just find this channel, always remember to do me a favor by leaving a like, comment, and subscribing. Make sure to hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of these amazing videos like the one provided for you here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and with that being said, let's jump right into it today. So if you were unfamiliar with what happened, I'm going to be breaking it down. Basically what happened was CZ Binance ended up dumping a bunch of FTT tokens on the open market. This was coming upon news that FTX exchange was over leveraged and was propping up a lot of their leverage behind the value of FTT token. And so CZ Binance, owning 8% of the entire supply of FTT token, he goes out, he ends up selling it on the open market, and this is kind of what he said to go out and say publicly that they were going to be selling all of their FTT token. As part of Binance's exit from FTX equity last year, Binance received roughly 2.1 billion USD equivalent in cash, BUSD and FTT. Due to recent revelations that have come to light, we have decided to liquidate any remaining FTT on our books. And guys, the reason is because of the fact some of the news came out that FTX exchange was way over leveraged. They were propping up all of their leverage and value behind FTT token. And so they realized that, hey, if we go out here and actually sell FTT token on the open market, because they're so over leveraged, it's going to cause the price to tank. And, CZ says that the reason he did this is ultimately just because of the fact they didn't want to risk any sort of collapse. But by him actually coming out and publicly stating that that was why they were worried, it created the collapse. Now, right after this happened, SBF, Sam Bankman-Fried, actually comes out and he says, FTX has enough to cover all client holdings. We don't invest client assets, even in treasuries. We have been processing all withdrawals and will continue to be. Some details on withdrawal speed. And then he comes out, 1, a competitor is trying to go after us with false rumors. FTX is fine, assets are fine. And so he basically came out and encouraged everybody that this was all just FUD, there was nothing to worry about, and there was no reason to be fretting over CZ's liquidation of FTT token. And now, come full circle, what happens to the price of FTT? Well, it starts to tank immediately. And shortly after it tanks, SBF the following day, Sam Bankman-Fried comes out and makes this statement. Hey all, I have a few announcements to make. Things have come full circle. And FTX.com, first and last investors are the same. We have come to an agreement on a strategic transaction with Binance for FTX.com, pending DD, etc. Our teams are working on clearing out the withdrawal backlog as is. This will clear out liquidity crunches. All assets will be covered one-to-one. This is one of the main reasons we've asked Binance to come in. It may take a bit to settle, etc. We apologize for that. But the most important thing is customers are protected. A huge thank you to CZ Binance and all supporters. Basically, guys, if you don't understand already, they got bank run. Everybody went and withdrew their assets. Basically $6 billion worth of clients' assets, people that were invested into FTX, all of their money on FTX exchange, they started pulling it out as the price of FTT was tanking. And so guys, you got to remember that these guys were over leveraged because of their FTT token. Because the price of FTT began to tank and customers began withdrawing all of their money, there was no longer liquidity on exchange to cover withdrawals. And on top of that, because they were propping up all of their leverage with FTT token, when it started to collapse, they no longer could cover their debts. They basically went bankrupt to all of their lenders that they were trying to pay out with whatever leverage that they were messing with. It's obvious that they over-leveraged company funds, not only company funds, but investors' funds that were just your average clientele, that me and you that were trading on their exchanges. I'm sure a lot of you guys that watch this channel probably lost money in this, and if you did, I'm super sorry for that. It's ultimately the same sort of stuff that we saw with Mt. Gox way back in 2015. And it's super unfortunate, and it's really unfortunate that FTX and all of the people involved would actually be over leveraging clients' funds first and foremost when they didn't have to be. Over leveraging clients' funds and then propping up their over leverage with FTT token. So because of that, CZ dumps the token, everybody runs to the FTX exchange to pull out their funds. They do that. There's no longer liquidity to cover all of the withdrawals. They freeze withdrawals, and on top of that, the FTT price is tanking from CZ dumping it. So obviously you just have a complete and total collapse. FTT exchange can no longer cover their debts. They can no longer cover withdrawals because everybody pulled the liquidity from the exchange. This is the reason why we actually just seen this entire collapse. FTT token is trading at $2. And so now as we get over here to the Bitcoin chart, what we're looking at is basically just the same sort of thing, except it's not nearly as bad. Obviously, we didn't see a total collapse in Bitcoin, but what we saw was confirmation of our future trend, or at least the short term. Now, I'm going to break down what it means, at least going forward, so you guys know what I'm at least expecting. Now, because of this breakdown, this is a pretty obvious breakdown of a 150-day range. Right, so we've been going sideways for about 150 days, and now with this sell-off, we broke through support, we made new lows, and we're now closing back below both of our previous support levels. We closed below on the daily, and now we're getting even follow-through on the secondary candle right here. And so as it stands right now, the trend is down, and everything is looking like it's going to be selling off from here. And so when we scroll out, it's important to look for what is to be expected on the way back down to the downside. And at the end of the day, guys, it is possible that in the next couple days we get this big bullish move and we close back above. And if we do get a bullish close back above our June lows, as well as pretty much $18,000, around 18 to 18.5, if we can get a close back above those levels, then at that point we can start to consider the bullish perspective. But on the daily time frame, we have broken down. We do have a couple more days before our weekly close, but a big major level has been broken down from 150-day range. So as far as it stands, the PA is down, price action is down. It was a bearish breakdown, and we should be expecting new lows to happen. And so where is the place to be targeting? Well, to be honest, we don't really have a support level until about 14K, I would say. And that's going to be the next level that I'm watching for. And I think a lot of people are pretty much watching for it. And really, guys, we don't know how low we're going to go because so much of this rides upon the news and what is going to be total fallout from the collapse of FTX exchange. There's already been a pretty decent fallout. And if we come over here, let's go to REN, the cryptocurrency. Not sure if you guys have heard of it. For the duration of this funding, REN Labs had no access to the company treasury or insight into plans around how the acquired REN would be used. So basically, their treasury was sitting on FTX. And so future, I don't know what happens. I don't know how much money was sitting on their treasury on FTX, but assuming that it was all of what they had, that's going to be gone. So if they had all of their money sitting on FTX exchange in their treasury, then all of that is just going to be gone now. And so they can re-earn money, but assuming that everybody's money is gone, how are they going to refund new projects? How are they going to continue development? And this is only one company, right? BlockFi obviously was bought out by FTX exchange when they collapsed, when Three Arrow Capital collapsed, when Luna collapsed, all of that happened. BlockFi was part of that collapse as well. And so when that happened, FTX exchange actually came in and they bought up BlockFi. So now BlockFi is dead again. There's no one that's going to be backing them. All of people's funds that were on BlockFi are now gone again if you didn't already withdraw them. So there's multiple companies that are now going bankrupt. And we haven't seen total fallout from this. When I'm looking at the Bitcoin daily chart, and we can see that we've seen an obvious breakdown and we're now closing below daily resistance. What that tells me is simply that, we need to play the levels as we go. Right now the trend is bearish and we should expect to see further downside. Because we haven't seen total fallout from the collapse of FTX, I believe that there will be more cryptos that come out, more NFT projects, and they say, hey, our reserves were inside of FTX exchange, like we lost a ton of money. There's going to be a lot of other players that were affected by this. And so if that's the case, I would expect that as this news comes out, the price of Bitcoin would further come down and we would see further cascading liquidations to the downside. And if that's the case, we really don't have a support level until pretty much down here to 14K, and I would even argue back down to 12K, somewhere down there, 14 to 12K, and potentially even back down to 11K. It's hard to say exactly, and a lot of this is going to be hinged upon and a lot of this is going to be decided upon how bad this collapse actually was. If there's further big players that are negatively affected by this, if there's going to be further regulation or big things that kind of come out, we could see a lot of stuff play into effect. And so there's a big stuff. So with all of this stuff, it's important not to kind of listen to the news too much, focus on the price, and with the price, we're trending lower as it stands now, and it just looks like we're probably going to get further move to the downside. Now, when it comes to looking at other charts, if we come over here and actually look at the total market cap, things are going to look a little bit better, right? Things are going to look a little bit better. And what I mean by that is the total market cap, even though it did temporarily go below our June low, it never closed below it. And so we've had this close all the way back above, and we are technically still below support on the daily. It closed a little bit better than Bitcoin, and a lot of that was just simply because of the fact that altcoins actually held up significantly better than Bitcoin did. And if we're looking at the altcoin pair, the altcoins never broke below support. In fact, they're at a higher high. And so what that tells me is that there was a lot more buy support in the altcoins for whatever reason. I'm not even sure why that was the case, but what that tells me is that for people that are watching this, because of the fact Bitcoin USD is below daily support, we're closing below daily support, this trend is down, and that tells me that this is most likely going to go lower. If the total market cap, looks a little bit better, not much, the main reason the total market cap looks better is just because the altcoins are holding support. If the altcoins are holding support, that gives me a little bit less confidence that these are going to be holding support. And the reason I say that is because generally in a low point, a bear market, the altcoins are going to be performing worse than what Bitcoin will be. Bitcoin will actually do a little bit better. And so if the altcoins are holding better support in these bear market bottoms, that tells me that most likely they have a bigger room to fall to the downside. And when we're looking at altcoin on the total market cap chart, if we scroll out here, we'd be looking, let's get to a shorter time frame so that it's a little bit easier to see the support levels. We'd be looking at a drop to pretty much 300 to 250 billion. This next support level down here, that's going to be the next area of liquidity for us moving forward inside of this next move to the downside, assuming that we continue to get follow through off of support, right? And so this is really the way that the market's looking, and it all rides around Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin, the fact that I'm looking at the rest of the markets being bearish has everything to do with the fact that the Bitcoin chart on the daily is actually bearish. We're closing below daily support. There's nothing that looks bullish about this chart. Now, I will say, we're going to get into a bullish perspective because there is always a bullish perspective, right? Now, the only real comparison that we have is actually going to be the 2015 Bitcoin bottom, because in my opinion, it is similar as far as what we saw happen and play out. And if we scroll in here, we can see that we had almost this exact same emotions. And it was actually a Bitfinex hack right here that was the real reason why we saw this secondary liquidation event. This was our first capitulation. We went through this 280-day range. We had a fake breakout, and then we went through this final capitulation where it actually made a lower low, right? And so we do see similar emotions that are playing out. And that's what tells me is there is a potential that we could see this exact same thing play out in the same way that we saw it play out in this cycle. Because guys, this also played out in our most recent bear market, in our last bear market for altcoins. And I remember watching plenty of altcoins do that pattern, and I made a lot of money buying that up when it actually happened. And so there is the potential that this is the actual pattern that's kind of playing out here. And it's more of a bear trap, right? And that's kind of what I mean when I'm saying that. And so you guys hopefully get what I'm pointing out when I'm drawing this. And the thing is we did see the same thing kind of happen in 2015. The difference is, this thing got bought up. We rallied back up here, and we had quite a while of consolidation that was kind of proving to us that the bottom was in, right? And so the same thing can be said for this bear market. If we see the market close bullish, we get back above this support level, and we start seeing something like this, then obviously we would assume that, hey, there's more bullish support and momentum than we thought, and if we can hold above this high, then there's reason to expect that we could see another move to the upside like this. But as far as it stands right now, the daily trend is bearish. We're below we're below horizontal support on the daily. This is really bearish on all time frames as far as it goes here. So there is a big difference. If we're comparing it to 2015, notice how quickly this bottom was bought up. And so it does look quite a bit different. But I mean, we did see a lot of the same stuff even inside of our last bear market. It created this same exact sort of fractal where we make a low, and we make another sort of capitulation at that low. But even the low over here in our last bear market, we never closed below our main support. This was our main capitulation. And so we never closed below that, right? And so for what we're seeing right now for Bitcoin on the daily time frame to just simply be closing below the daily support, it's a little bit different. But, you know, like I stated, if we can get more momentum that shifts into the bullish favor like we saw over here, or, you know, even in sort of that last cycle, then obviously we can reconsider these sort of scenarios. But I mean, other things to consider is the fact that the Bitcoin dominance is trending lower. This was another rejection. We're getting follow through from that rejection. And so it's looking like what I drew over here is going to end up playing out to some degree. And we're going to get further continuation in this downtrend. This is really interesting, guys, because of the fact we went through this entire distribution period. And even though this is capitulation, this is definitely going to be our final low for the crypto markets. It's interesting to see kind of how it's playing out because our Bitcoin dominance is actually going lower in a bear market. Normally it's the opposite. This was our last bear market, right? Bitcoin dominance was trending up. And it was really trending up even through the beginning of the next bull market. When Bitcoin went to 14K, we continued to go up and make higher highs. So to see Bitcoin dominance actually breaking support and looking like bearish continuation as we're in this point of the bear market, we've never seen it before. And so it's just something to highlight. It's something that we need to consider moving forward from here. And it's hard to say exactly what's going to move. It's hard to say exactly what's going to happen with the dollar pairs. The dollar pairs are going down. The Bitcoin pairs are actually breaking out. Some Bitcoin pairs are making new all-time highs right now. And so it's something we've never ever seen before. I'm not sure exactly what it means, but overall the trend of Bitcoin versus alts is down. And it's interesting to see how what we saw inside of these charts was pretty much the same thing. I mean, the altcoin total market cap is actually holding support. We never broke support. Whereas when we're looking at Bitcoin, or I should say the total market cap on the daily, we're closing below support. And so there's a lot of things to consider here. We have to just wait, keep watching day to day, kind of play it and see what happens from here. But I mean, if we get one more major capitulation and this ends up being, you know, a false bottom, then I would expect that we're going to have a pretty decent drop to the downside. Some of the final things to note is the fact that we do have a complete reversal on the dollar. The dollar broke all trending support, and so this is a reversal. This is what we've all been watching for, to see Bitcoin break out. So to see the whole market kind of tanking as we have all of this news regarding all the crazy stuff with FTX exchange, you know, it's a little bit unfortunate. But at the end of the day, guys, you know, it's not the end of the world. I believe that we're going to see follow through with this. We will see the close and the end of our bear market. Because here's the thing, guys. The end of our 4-year cycle is playing out right before our eyes. We were wondering whether we were going to see one more low before the end of this, but you know, we trended sideways for so long. We were wondering whether we were actually just going to kind of bottom, and that's not the case. It's looking like we'll get our final low that's going to be taking us in the same sort of time frames that we saw with our prior 4-year cycles. 1,450 days is 4 years, and if we're drawing 1,450 days from our last bottom of our cycle, we're looking at the end of this month for the bottom of this cycle, right? And so with us breaking support, I think it's likely we're most likely going to sell off for another low, and this is ultimately going to drop back down, you know, to, I would probably say, this is the crypto total market cap, by the way. I'd probably say back down to about 250 billion. And this is the altcoin total market cap, I should say, right? So I would expect that we're going to drop about another 45-50% inside of the altcoins. Bitcoin, you know, would be probably about, Bitcoin USD is going to be a little bit different, but the total market cap would probably be about another 20 to 35% drop in price. And so we're looking like another big drop across the board, assuming that we get follow through and we continue to close below daily support. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but that's just the way that it's looking right, guys? And that's just the way the 4-year cycles line up. You know, I wanted more than anything for us to hold support here as we got closer towards the end of the year. Ended up just being a bull trap, and we're going to get further downside on the way. Same kind of thing that happened to our final capitulation towards the end of our year 4 years ago in our last bear market. And so this is unfortunately the way that the markets go. You know, I wish that we could have been right along the way of this breaking out, but I just trade the markets the way I see it, and at the end of the day, we're bearish. We closed below our last support as resistance. Now we're breaking below our support again, closing below it on the daily time frames. All trending indicators are down. I'm just telling it like it is, guys. And so we're going to play it like that. We're going to see what happens. I'm going to keep you guys updated. But if you guys found value in this, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of these amazing videos. If you guys want to join the Discord server, download my free ebook. Links are in the description for that. For people who like to join my signals, sign up for my VIP course, any of that stuff, links are in the description for all of that on my website. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And with that being said, I will catch you in the next one. As always, peace out.